What's up, everybody? It's Make It Make Sense. And you know, if I'm here twice in one day, we got a lot to cover. So, like the video's intro plays, we have a lot to get into.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense to me intellectually.
Make it make sense.
You logging on and off today.
Okay.
And we had a whole subscribe.
Everything you did adds up to no sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Everything you did adds up to no sense. Make it make sense.
Somebody said, "Can we bring back the other song?" Actually, it was a straight shooter who linked me to that song. The other one will be back. I just think that one is funny. Okay. Oh, so some of y'all like the intro. Okay. Well, maybe we'll switch it up from time to time, but y'all, we got a lot to cover. Shout out to the Diddy Docket for, doing their due diligence. It says Ramir Satherweight, pro se, meaning he was without an attorney for this lawsuit. It says, to the clerk of the court, United States, plaintiff Ramir pro se submits this notice of withdrawal from the above complaint as a party to the action. The defendants have not filed an answer to the above complaint. I certify that the foregoing statements are true in the notice of withdrawal, and any willfully false statements, I'm subject to punishment. Look, I still stand by. I wish that Jay-Z would just submit to a DNA test. If it's not your son, then no harm, no foul. I think that the man just doesn't want to take the test. Let me just be honest with you. And I don't see a clear pathway for him to force Jay-Z, especially after this. I don't think he was paid off, to be honest with you guys. Let me tell you what I think happened. I think that they have 15 years of documented cases where Jay-Z was able to argue not to take the DNA test, and the court sided with Jay-Z. You have 15 years. This started in 2010. The Jay-Z gave this exclusive to Us Weekly. It says Jay-Z reveals man claiming to be a secret son was hit with the 2022 court injunction. And because it says exclusive, Jay-Z gave it to them. Jay-Z 55 claimed Satherweight 30 and his caretaker have been harassing him for years. He said the claims in the new lawsuit have been addressed and rejected in multiple other courts time and time again. In his filing, Jay-Z said he was repeatedly dragged to court by Satherwait's late mother, and Satherwait's caretaker based on the false assertion that Satherweight is his biological son. Jay-Z's legal team pointed out Satherwait's paternity was previously established for someone else in a court proceeding. Someone who Satherwait's mother claimed no later than 1994 was Satherwait's father, and the person was ordered to pay child support. But we're hearing that that person was not actually the father. And that happens a lot. We see situations where people don't take paternity tests, pay for years of child support, and that child support's lost because you were supposed to do your due diligence. His lawyers noted that in 2010, the court told Satherwait's mother she could not wait 17 years to name a second person as the father of her child when she identified another person as the father 16 years ago and never attempted to recant that identification until now. Jay-Z's lawyer said Satherwait's new complaint alleges the various court orders issued in the last 15 years, which uniformly rejected Satherwait's claims, got it wrong, and this court should find Jay-Z liable for fraud and other claims. He got an injunction, guys. In 2022, he got an injunction that said he could not continue to file the same complaint in New Jersey. So I think what he did was he tried to go around the system and then file this in LA. I feel really, really bad for dude because wanting to know your father or wanting to know where you came from is important to everybody. I just don't think that he had the legal standing to do it. Not this way. Maybe, you know, go get a strand of his hair. Pay one of the maids to give you a strand of his hair or something. This ain't it. It's not. I feel bad, but this is not gonna happen. Maybe you could at one of these award shows when his wife is winning an award, maybe you could like take his cup. There's ways of getting DNA. There's definite ways to getting DNA. But this is not gonna happen. And him withdrawing it voluntarily probably means that he was aware that it wasn't gonna happen. Let me show you guys this. And again, shout out to the Diddy docket. He says, hello, changes were made to my case on July 18, 2025, about 3 p.m. This was done due to changes made to my case where we were not aware of. We will explain soon, but it's all about my mother now. So this is kind of ominous. It says the documents have not yet been filed. Just like documents received through the U.S. mail, documents received through the electronic document system will not be considered filed until court staff have uploaded them into the case management. We know that his guardian, or his what used to be his guardian, has their own case against Diddy. He was not happy at the fact that the two cases were kind of like merged. I'm not quite sure where he goes from here. 15 years of you don't have a legal standing to make this man submit to DNA testing and just to go to another state. I don't know. I really wish that he would talk to an attorney. I really do wish. Jay-Z family did a 23andMe, and now that this is resurfaced, Jay-Z has done something where 23andMe is filing for bankruptcy. What? Barbara says the fact that his mother told him this and didn't clear up lies before she died is a tragedy to this man to go around wanting to know his father. I did hear about the daughter. No, he's nuts. Why are you saying he's nuts? OG Patrice says he won't be able to prove Jay-Z is his father or not until Jay-Z dies and his children split his estate. He'll be able to come forth then. This happened to family friends of mine. Unless he gets a cup from one of these award shows that Jay-Z then drank out of, or you get his hairbrush. There's ways. There's kinks in the system. But no, for now, this is case closed. I want to let you guys listen to this real quick.
The court heard and viewed evidence demonstrating the very worst of human behavior toward other humans.
Now, this is Cash Out, who was just convicted of sex trafficking and all of these charges. I'm not going to lie. I had a couple of his songs in my playlist. This is not good.
Human beings. The jury verdict in this case reflects that the state met its burden in proving beyond a reasonable doubt that the diabolical conduct of the defendants occurred. The sentencing to be...
He's been defending himself. So if he did talk to an attorney and the attorneys told him that he doesn't have a case, is that why he was defending himself? But he's been defending himself in court. He's been pro se. So I'm assuming he didn't talk to an attorney.
meted out by this court will be responsive to that. Mr. John Michael Hakeem Gibson, would you please stand? Okay.
Oh, Lord. Simone says no lawyer would touch the case because it's crap.
On count one, violation of the Georgia RICO Act, 20 years to serve in confinement to run consecutive with count 10. On count 10, rape, life in confinement. Count 12, aggravated sodomy.
Yes.
Life in confinement to run concurrent with count 10. Count 22, trafficking a person for sexual servitude. 20 years to serve in confinement to run consecutive with count 1. Count 23, trafficking a person for sexual servitude. 20 years to serve in confinement to run consecutive with count 22. Count 24 on the lesser included offense of battery. 12 months to serve in confinement to run concurrent with count 10. Count 25, possession.
Like I did anything to them.
This is him
Because
responding.
if you know me, and people who really know me know that I wouldn't force anybody to do anything. I met women, I dated women who were doing escort or whatever, however people want to look at it from a moral standpoint, but who was doing these things as a grown woman. I've only dealt with grown women. Nothing was forced. Nothing was coerced or anything of that nature. If you notice before this trial, no woman can say anything about me before this trial. If you notice before this indictment, no woman can say anything about me before this indictment. I get the situations that people are put in when they're faced with a certain type of crime or a certain type of time, and they're bullied into this situation to put the blame on someone, or to put the blame on Cash Out, or to put the blame on someone who's at the top. That's why I didn't really fault them for their decision. I didn't fault Deanna Sanders for making her decision during a proffer. She just had a child. Mind you, she was just on video call with me while being incarcerated. I don't fault Kiera Adams for doing the things she did with her proffer, because mind you, she was facing a certain amount of time handling her probation in different cases that she's on. I don't fault people for making accusations, because I'm a man that typically let women leave on their own behalf. Never held them in prison or held them in slavery or said, you can't leave me, or you can't do this. Every woman you've seen come on this stand showed you that they left and came back willingly on their own. What I mean by that, they left on their own and they came back willingly on their own.
He said, I'm not remorseful. Well, there you have it. He says he is not I was shocked when I heard his statement. I was shocked to hear how absolutely unapologetic. He was not remorseful. It was like he doubled down. Maybe he doesn't care because he's probably just going to appeal. That maybe he's thinking, maybe his attorneys are just saying, we'll appeal, but you and your mom went down. We'll leave it at that. He's been removed from my playlist. Okay. So to Candace Owens, y'all. This is gonna get real messy real fast if you guys have not been following her coverage of the French First Lady. Candace believes that the French First Lady is trans. Now, when we get into this topic, I'm a person who says, live your life how you live your life. I really don't give a damn. But when we get into the weeds about her being a predator of children, well, that's where me and Candace see eye to eye. If you have not been following this story, it's about to get real messy real quick. Candace Owens sued by French president's first lady over transgender claims. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte have sued Candace Owens over what they call her invasive, dehumanizing, and deeply unjust claims that Brigitte is secretly a man who transitioned into a woman. And don't just go based on her looks. She's, don't just go based on her looks, because I know a lot of people do that. Candace Owens likes to talk about her horrible wigs. Now, I've been around long enough to remember Candace at some of these hearings. So eventually we all have bad hair days. Don't just go based on the woman's look, okay? Yeah. In the Wednesday filing, the Macrons say the conservative commentator has caused them substantial reputational economic damages due to outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions that Brigitte was born a man and transitioned to become female and stole someone's identity. So it's all predicated on this. Candace Owens. This episode is blowing up, so I just want to say, after looking into this, I would stake my entire professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron is in fact a man. Any journalist or publication that is trying to dismiss this plausibility is immediately identifiable as establishment. I have never seen anything like this in my life. The implications here are terrifying. I do not intend to let up on this story, and I'm calling on other journalists to look into this explosive story and report accordingly. So she's done, I think, like an 8-part series on this. While the 219-page defamation complaint claims Owens has pushed such lies for a while, it specifically mentions a March 2024 post on X in which she wrote, "I would stake my entire professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron is in fact a man." The Macrons say that they sent the former Daily Wire host a retraction demand, but instead of complying, they say she persisted with the claims and even launched an 8-part YouTube series called Becoming Brigitte. The title was funny. The title was funny. Don't sue me, Macrons. Candace Owens, exclusively available. Credit due to Xavier Poussard. This was years of his hard work and fighting the Macrons in court to release photos of Jean-Michel. Emmanuel Macron married a man, which was illegal at the time that he did it. So I've been doing like a little deep dive in this. So this is who Candace Owens believes is the same person. Records show that this is actually her brother. I was so confused when I initially got into this because it's not too hard to go get a test to determine your biological birth gender. It's not too hard. So if somebody is saying that you are not and it's really getting under your skin and you want to shut them the F up, then you could just take the test. I don't think okay, let me just say this. I don't like this lady, and I'll tell you guys why I don't like her in a minute. But outside of this woman, nobody deserves to be targeted like this. Outside of this woman, nobody deserves. The implications. If she was not born a man, What a horrible thing to put onto somebody. It is low-key, you got to look at yourself to really determine why these people who make up 0.0000001% of the population, if that, I just like it's such a minuscule, like, this is your call to arms. I'm not gonna watch this 8-part docuseries. I'll keep up with it. I'm not doing an 8-part docuseries on this, but I'm just not. I'm sorry. This lady is not a great lady, though. I definitely don't like the. Before I found out who and what this woman was about, I likened it to people saying that Michelle Obama was really a man. So you have a French president's wife. They're saying that about her. A Black American president's wife. They're saying it about her. That's where my mind went. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But this woman has some shit with her. And we'll get into that in a minute. The Macrons say Owens has turned their lives into fodder with her rampant lies, adding Owens has dissected their appearance, their marriage, their friends, their family, and their personal history, twisting it all into a grotesque narrative designed to inflame and degrade. The result is relentless bullying on a worldwide scale. She is seeking unspecified damages, including punitive. Despite having a lawsuit filed against her by the French president, Candace isn't worried about the matter at all, with an insider telling us she has plans to stop talking. She has no plans to stop talking and plans to address the matter today live in a session on her Candace podcast. Furthermore, Candace, who has not yet been served a lawsuit, according to our source, has reached out to the reps for the Macrons with an offer for them to dispute her claims on her podcast. Now, you know good and goddamn well this woman is not coming on your podcast, not coming anywhere near you. But that's bold to do. They have not appeared on her podcast as of Wednesday. Brigitte previously filed a libel complaint against influencers Amadine Roy and Natasha Ray after they made claims she was born a man in 2021. While the pair were initially ordered to pay damages, the decision was overturned by the Paris Court of Appeals this month. TMZ has reached out to Candace for comments. So far, no word back. So I started kind of looking into who Amanda Roy was and Natasha Ray because that appeal was over. She was initially awarded money, and then that appeal was overturned. Women who claim Brigitte Macron was born a man are cleared of defamation. So now I'm like, again, how can you be cleared of something if all it takes is a simple blood test to determine your gender at birth? Two women convicted of defaming French First Lady Brigitte Macron by saying she was born a man were today sensationally cleared on appeal. Judges sitting at the Paris Appeal Court on Thursday ruled that Amandine Roy, a 53-year-old clairvoyant, so I guess a psychic, and Natasha Ray, a blogger, had every legal right to make the sulfurous allegations. Both had claimed they were subjected to intimidation by the authorities as ultra-protected members of the Paris establishment tried to cover up a state secret. Lawyers for Ms. Macron, 72, in turn, indicated that she was devastated by the development and would be taking the case to France's Cassation Court, which I guess would be another appeal. Miss Ray had appeared on a 4-hour YouTube video in December of 2021 in which they claimed that Brigitte was in fact born as a baby boy called Jean-Michel Trogno in 1953. This is in fact the name of Brigitte's brother, and Macron was called Brigitte Trogno before her first marriage. The defendants also claimed that Brigitte's first husband, André-Louis Ajour, had never actually existed before his reported death in 2020, aged 68. Now, she has children. Are they adopted? If this is her brother, it would be super simple just to take a picture next to her brother. Like, there are things that are weird about this, but I think, I don't know. I told you this had a whole bunch of twists and was super messy. A judge sitting at Lassault in Normandy originally fined the two women the equivalent of 1,700 pounds each after finding them both guilty of libel. Following early appeals, Roy's fine was reduced to $850, while Ray had $1,300 of her $1,700 fine suspended, meaning she had to pay just $400. Now, neither will have to pay anything, and they will be able to repeat the allegations against Ms. Macron. I'm pretty sure Candace might have them on her podcast. Today's court ruling states that the 18 passages of the video under the consideration do not constitute defamation and instead represent good faith free speech. It comes as Ms. Macron finds herself increasingly under attack, not just in France, but across the world. Becoming Bridget, a controversial book about her personal life written by journalist Xavier Prizard, is stirring up conspiracy theories as American influencer Candace Owens. It comes as 4 male defendants prepare for their cyber harassment trial at the Paris Correctional Court after being accused of likening Ms. Macron to a child abuser. Now, that's when my ears perked up. That's when my ears perked up, because I was like, wait, so she was trans and now accused of child abuse? Like, was it her children? Y'all know it was not her children. It was her goddamn husband. Her husband, the French president. You met this man when I think he was like 15 and you were 39? You taught at his school. And the allegation is they had a fling, y'all. That's where the child stuff comes in. I can't get with that. I can understand somebody, if you are biologically a woman, you don't want to be called trans. I am absolutely now grossed out by this relationship. If you had met this man later in life and y'all had a big age difference, sure. But you taught at his school. Your daughter was in school with him. So his parents had actually thought that he was dating the first lady's daughter, when in actuality, the allegations are that he was dating the first lady while he was in high school. And then you went back and married him. I mean, we see allegations like this all the time. The people say that about a certain rapper and her husband. We hear this kind of stuff all the time, but I can't get with that. So that's why I was like, if she can prove that she's not a trans woman, then I think that she should be able to win that part of the lawsuit against Candace. But on the flip side, I'm not rooting for anybody who met a child and decided that you wanted to have a relationship with them and then you got back together later on in life. Like that, I'm not getting with that. I'm not like standing with that. So let's get into that story. Where is it? Okay, here we go. How Emmanuel Macron's parents discovered their son was dating his 40-year-old teacher. New biography reveals shock reaction to new president's illicit teenage affair with the woman who would become his wife. A new biography of French President Emmanuel Macron has revealed his parents' shock when they discovered their 16-year-old son was having an affair with his married teacher. Much has been made of the fact that the centrist Macron is married to Brigitte, a woman 24 years his senior. He met as a 15-year-old schoolboy when she was a teacher at La Providence, a private school in Amiens, northern France. Writer Anne Fulda, who penned the book Emmanuel Macron, A Perfect Young Man, spoke to the politician's parents about the scandalous affair that began while Ms. Trogno was a 39-year-old married mother of 3. Now, here we go. A married mother of 3. Did you adopt the children? Because it's pretty easy if you gave birth to 3 children, then the claims of you being a trans person are out. Are y'all seeing what I'm seeing here? Like, it's not that difficult. You don't have to make that make sense. It's pretty easy to take a test. I'm not understanding the ins and outs of why we aren't just getting a quick test and then you can shut everybody up. Yes, this is the lady who slapped him on camera by accident. They were on a plane and she slapped him. Let me see. So yeah, I can't, when it comes to the taking advantage of a kid thing, I'm definitely with anybody, Candace included, who wants to expose people who would take advantage of kids or any of these underground things. Like, put it out there like that. I don't even know how you vote that into office. At this point, anybody could be president of anything, I guess. The schoolboy's parents had believed their son was dating his teacher's daughter, Lawrence, until the truth came out through a family friend. Shocked at the illicit affair, the Macrons removed the intellectually gifted teenager from the school. His mother, Francois, told Ms. Fulda, "We just couldn't believe it. What is clear is that when Emmanuel met Brigitte, we couldn't just say that's great." But she added, "What mattered to me was not the fact that he was having a relationship with Brigitte, but that he was alive and there weren't any problems." Realizing the affair would not be a passing phase, she is said to have told the teacher, "Don't you see? You've had your life, but he won't have children with you." His father, Jean-Michel, revealed he almost fell off his chair when he learned about his son's lover. When Emmanuel met Brigitte, we certainly did not say how wonderful. The shaken parents met Miss Trogno and asked her not to see their son again until he reached adulthood. But she defiantly told them she couldn't promise anything. That is bold. That is bold as hell. You are a married mom of 3. Somebody's asking you not to have relations with their underage child who you're supposed to be helping shape and mold their mind, and you worried about shaping and molding their body. I can't get with that's why I was like, I can't get with this lady either. She couldn't promise anything, y'all. But the future president's maternal grandmother, Manette, was surprisingly understanding. An older person who's seen 15, 14-year-olds, marry young, it's not surprising to me. Francois recalled, "My mother, who would never have tolerated such a situation for her own children, showed herself to be much more open and tolerant with regard to her grandchildren's love affairs. Both parents denied any suggestion that they would have threatened to kick the schoolboy out of the house and insist he was due to go to the prestigious Lycée Henry in Paris for the final year of his studies in any case. The young Macron was not a student in his future wife's French classes, but in her drama lessons, which she taught as a second subject. She recalls being in awe of his exceptional, and this makes me want to vomit. She recalls being in awe of his exceptional intelligence, a way of thinking that I had never seen before, and said that when she arrived at La Provence, all the teachers were buzzing about Emmanuel. The unlikely pair grew close when they co-authored a play, Ms. Trogno told a friend years later. The day when we wrote the play together, I had a feeling I was working with Mozart. The writing became an excuse. I felt that we had always known each other. The new First Lady of France confirmed to Paris Match magazine last month that a determinedly romantic Macron had vowed to marry her when he was just 17 years old, promising to come back and find her after he was sent to the capital. "You cannot get rid of me. I will come back and marry you," he is quoted as having said. Recalling that his parents took it badly when they discovered the affair, Mr. Macron said, "I had to fight in order to live both my private and my professional life as I wish. I had to fight, and it wasn't the easiest or most obvious. Not the most automatic thing to do, nor did it correspond with established norms. The pair eventually married in 2007 when he was 29 and she was 54 years old. Becoming a very youthful stepfather to her 3 adult children, he told them at the wedding reception, "Thanks for accepting us, a not quite normal couple." So the mom was right. When you do finally get with her, you're not going to be able to have children with her. Mr. Macron has become France's youngest ever president at the age of 39, the same age as his wife, now 64, when they met. Many commentators have said the obsession with their age gap is an example of deeply ingrained misogyny, since men in positions of power are frequently married to much younger women. No. Miss me with that. Definitely miss me with that. On to another child predator. I didn't even know this. Former Epstein lawyer Roy Black dies at age 80. Roy Black was the guy who got, let me show you. If you follow anything about Bravo, Roy Black was the attorney that got the sweetheart deal for Epstein, the deal that allowed him to leave every day while he was in prison on work release, because billionaires have companies to run, while he was able to continue to touch children. I had no idea that it was a Real Housewife of Miami's husband. All money is not good money. And I'm not sure where you're going after this, sir. If you and all of your connections and legal prowess kept a predator on the street, somebody that you like. Rest in peace, I guess. Good luck with that one. Good luck. That's disgusting. I can't. This came through this morning. It says Speaker of the House Mike Johnson just hit the biggest "let's get out of here" and ended the House session a day early. Why? Because people were getting a little too close to forcing a vote on releasing those Epstein files. Instead of ducking what needed to be done, they packed up and said, "See y'all in September." Meanwhile, pressure is heating up from both Democrats and Republicans to stop playing and drop the documents. I secretly kind of think it's dope that there's not too much that the parties in America agree upon, but protecting children and naming predators is something that is bipartisan and it's crossing over. And you're not going to be able, there is mounting pressure. You are not going to be able to duck and dodge this for too long. You're just not going to be able to. But yeah, so how you go in the session early? Instead of doing what needed to be done, they packed up and said, "See y'all in September." Meanwhile, pressure is heating up from both Democrats and Republicans to stop playing and drop the documents. There was even a vote to subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's right-hand lady, to come spill her tea to Congress. Keep in mind, they just released over 200K MLK Jr. files. Let's be clear, ending the session early doesn't scream transparency. It screams we need to get our story straight. So that happened. Then the Wall Street Journal dropped this. Now, you can't say you're going to sue Murdoch, who owns, I think it's like his conglomerate is News Corp, but Wall Street Journal is definitely part of that. They're definitely now going to stay on Trump's neck. It says Justice Department told Trump in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files. Bondi also told President at the meeting that Justice decided to not release more Jeffrey Epstein documents because of the presence of child videos and the need to protect victims. When Justice Department officials reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a truckload of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein early this year, they discovered that Donald Trump's name appeared multiple times, according to senior administration officials. In May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files. The official said, many other high-profile figures were also named, Trump was told. Being mentioned in the records isn't a sign of wrongdoing. Let's go back. Many other high-profile figures were also named, Trump was told. Being mentioned in the records isn't a sign of wrongdoing. Absolutely not. But if the American people already know that you are mentioned in the records, wouldn't you want to be more transparent to say, I was mentioned, but it was something fleeting, or, I met them at Cipriani for lunch or something like that. Like, this is a bipartisan. We don't agree on much of anything in America. This is bipartisan. You don't have a choice. If there's nothing to see, then just release the files. The official said it was a routine briefing that covered a number of topics and that Trump's appearance on the documents wasn't the focus. They told the president at the meeting that the files contained what officials felt was unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past. Some of the officials said. One of the officials familiar with the document said they contained hundreds of other names. Let's not just glaze over that, y'all. The files contained what officials felt was unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump. Remember when I told you that even if there's not like a list, like it doesn't have to be something like Heidi Fleiss who had a client list. It could simply just be text messages that said this person likes this type of girl, or this person wants a blonde or a brunette, or this person wants this, or age ranges, or we think this person likes this. If it's just hearsay and it's not that bad, put it out. Put it out. I can't stress that enough. This is a bipartisan push to get these records out because it's children. It's not like, something flippant, like, some AI bullshit. Or this is literally protecting children, because although Epstein is gone, all these other people aren't gone. And these other people have never been tried. At least let the public know who he was affiliated with in that way. They also told Trump that senior Justice Department officials didn't plan to release any more documents related to the investigation of the convicted sex offender because the material contained child and victims' personal information, which could be redacted. Trump said at the meeting he would defer to the Justice Department's decision to not release any further files. The meeting set the stage for the high-profile review to come to an end. Bondi had said in February that Epstein's client list was sitting on my desk right now to review. Trump said last week in response to a journalist's question that Bondi hadn't told him that his name was in the files. So was that a lie? Trump said last week in response to a journalist's question that Bondi hadn't told him that his name was in the files. In May, so let's go back because this is a contradiction. Trump said at the meeting, blah, blah, blah. Trump said last week in response to a journalist's question that Bondi hadn't told him that his name was in the files. Now we go back up to this sentence. In May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the files. Trump is about to go ballistic. Trump is about to go off, yo. Oh, he is not going to like this. I'm sure he's reading this right. I'm sure he's reading this right now, along with us. Let's repeat. Trump said last week in response to a journalist's question that Bondi hadn't told him that his name was in the files. In May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the files. He's going to be pissed. The administration didn't publicly announce the decision until weeks later on July 7th, when the Justice Department posted a memo on its website. The statement, which was unsigned, stated that a thorough review had turned up no list of Epstein's clients, no evidence that would lead to an investigation of uncharged third parties, and no additional documents that merited public disclosure. It said that much of the material would have been sealed in a trial to protect victims and to block the dissemination of child. You can't tell me that they can't redact that and just not disseminate the child P. Typically, the FBI doesn't disclose materials that aren't related to a charged offense. This is another fake news story, just like the previous story by the Wall Street Journal, said the White House Communications Director, Stephen Chung. In a statement to the Journal on Friday, binding the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. As part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings. On Tuesday, Blanche's aide said on X that the Justice Department was seeking to arrange a meeting with Ghislaine in the coming days to discuss any possible information about anyone who's committed crimes with Epstein. Maxwell was found guilty in 2021 of helping Epstein sex trafficking and sentenced to 20 years in prison. She's been in custody since she was charged in 2020 and didn't testify at her trial. One of Maxwell's lawyers, David Oscar Marcus, confirmed the discussions and said, "We are grateful to President Trump for his commitment to uncovering the truth in this case. Maxwell has been seeking to have her conviction overturned, contending she didn't receive a fair trial." So now you're looking for a pardon. If you pardon that shriveled old shrew who was moving little girls around like pawns for Jeffrey, if you were like, the fact that she's even pandering tells me that there's more to the story. And I feel like she probably should have got more than 20 years. So on Wednesday, after the publication of this article, Trump spokesman Chung said, "The fact is that the president kicked him out of his club for being a creep." Trump has said their friendship ended before the financier was indicted for soliciting prostitution, in 2006. Epstein later pleaded guilty to procuring a minor for prosecution in 2008, served time in a Florida jail, and registered as a sex offender. When Epstein was arrested again in 2019, Trump said he hadn't talked to Epstein for about 15 years. Epstein died in jail that year while awaiting trial on federal charges of sex trafficking. Kash Patel has privately told other government officials that Trump's name appeared in the files, according to people close to the administration. Patel declined to answer an inquiry from the Journal about the Epstein case, but said in a statement that the memo on the Justice Department website explaining why the department would release more Epstein documents was consistent with the thorough review conducted by the FBI and the Department of Justice. Details of Bondi's meeting with Trump haven't been previously reported, but they are now. Trump's advisors had for months, including during the presidential campaign, said they would release the files, and Trump, while at times equivocal, indicated he would support the release. Trump's supporters, including some now serving in senior roles in the administration, claim that the documents would expose global elites and powerful Democrats who spent time with the disgraced financier. Senior roles in Trump's administration claim that the documents would expose global elites and powerful Democrats. And the most powerful Republican, the president. That's the thing about something being bipartisan. That's the great thing about this being bipartisan. One of the great equalizers is unless you are, yourself a pedo, you genuinely want to protect children. That crosses the line. Like, a spokesperson for Dow Jones said, "We have full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of our reporting and will vigorously defend against any lawsuit." Y'all, we'll just see. We will see. Let's get to Shannon. Shannon Sharpe is not out of hot water, y'all. Shock evidence. Shannon Sharpe judge demands ESPN star and OnlyFans model accuser do not destroy the sex tape evidence in the second lawsuit. Inside the email sent to the model's attorney, Tony Busby, from Sharpe's other R-word accuser. A judge presiding over a case against ESPN star Shannon Sharpe has demanded that the star's R-word accuser not destroy a sex tape to preserve evidence in a second lawsuit. So you guys know, typically when you have a settlement, that's all included. Any proof that you have gets turned over. Any records that you have to be destroyed. Sometimes you have to apologize. Sometimes you just have to take down what you have said. This judge said, somebody else is accusing you. The order covers all copies of a sex tape involving Shannon Sharpe and his accuser, an OnlyFans model referred to as Jane Doe, who settled her $50 million lawsuit with the famed sportscaster on Friday. Sharpe stepped away from his role in First Take and denied Doe's accusation against him, slamming the now settled Megabucks suit as a shakedown. Mind you, the girl has quit OnlyFans now. So whatever amount of money, if she was asking for 50, she turned down 10. Maybe they met in the middle and she got about 25. The judge's order on the sex tape stems from a lawsuit filed by another woman who has accused Sharpe of the R-word, Michelle Evans, the U.S. Sun can exclusively reveal. In that order, Evans demanded that Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, Sharpe, and anyone else with a copy of the recording refrain from destroying the alleged sex tape. On Tuesday, the judge in the case ruled in favor of Evans and ordered that the tape and any other recordings between Sharpe and Doe be preserved. The tape, which Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, previously called key evidence, purportedly shows Sharpe and Jane Doe engaged in sex acts. The existence of the tape was initially disclosed publicly by the sportscaster himself just days after Jane Doe's lawsuit was filed in Las Vegas. Doe alleged Sharpe 57 R-worded her in late 2024 and again in 2025 when she was just 20 years old. I believe Busby is going... we don't need to go that. Evans included an email she sent Jane Doe's attorney specifically demanding that the tape not be destroyed in her request to the court. I am writing to place you on formal notice that you are in possession of evidence that is or may be relevant to ongoing anticipated litigation involving Shannon Sharpe. Specifically, I have reason to believe that you possess video or audio recordings that depict or relate to Mr. Sharpe's interactions with Jane Doe, which may be central to claims raised in existing or forthcoming legal actions. Evans' letter to the attorney continued, you are hereby directed to preserve and not destroy, alter, conceal, override, or otherwise tamper with any and all materials in your possession, custody, or control that may relate to the matters described above. Let me see. We don't really need to go into Rachel's lawsuit because we have already done that. I'm still tripping over the French president marrying his abuser. I'm not French. I haven't been to France in years. My trip to France wasn't all that great initially. I don't keep up with this. But to know that you literally... We talk about grooming all the time. It feels like as a teacher, as a confidant, you shaped and groomed him to a point where even though he went on to, become a young man, he still went back to you. And you, I presumably left your children and your husband for this child that you had groomed, who then becomes the president. Anytime you think of somebody in that type of position of power whose mindset is warped to think that a child can really fall in love with an adult, that is scary. That is scary. At the highest levels, you have an alleged pedo as the first lady. I can't get over that. The implications for that or how you view the world are so far skewed in such a messed up way. I would be nervous. I would definitely be nervous to think that that's the leader of the French government. And the youngest one at that. So you're 39. You get to the presidency at 39, but you have brought your pedo wife with. I don't know. I don't like it. There's so much more. Like I've been like deep diving, so you guys will probably get some shorter videos tomorrow. You can put in the comments if you like the shorter videos mixed in with the live videos. I was not expecting that when I started covering this story. It is weird. I don't know how the French people accepted her as first lady. How warped his world has been. They say he was extremely intelligent, tested high, but you had a woman who literally told your parents, I'm not going to leave this child alone. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. So yeah, we're gonna be discussing more of this. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Again, put in the comments if you like the shorter videos mixed in with the longer ones. If you liked the new intro or not. I gotta go. This was a lot, so I'll see y'all later. Oh wait, I don't even think did we? Okay, yeah, I think we're good. See y'all tomorrow.